What's up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. And today is going to be kind of different for if you're a new listener, where you're used to kind of a structured episode. I take one topic and I kind of talk about it for 15 and 20 minutes. For my older original listeners, this episode will seem relatively familiar and maybe a little more comfortable to you because it's just going to be kind of a life update. I don't really have a topic. I have things that have been irking my nerves lately, and that's why I haven't been doing such structured type episodes here on YouTube. I've more been doing short little quick messages that I feel like putting out over on TikTok, which is cool and stuff. It's whatever. You guys know me through this show. You know that my goal is to try to help people struggling with mental health issues or mental illness. Substance abuse issues, spirituality is something I'm very passionate about. And through all these things, I keep finding commonalities. There seems to be a point in each part of my career where I seem to want to do an about face. And I did it in fitness when I started going through the bodybuilding route. And I was like, yeah, this is awful superficial, and I just really don't care to get like up on a stage and have people judge my body. That's just not something I care about at all. I enjoyed learning about like the health part of stuff, but I don't need to look perfect on stage. So then I cut that out and I got bored with fitness, and I started really learning about MMA, and I got very passionate about MMA, and I took a fight and I enjoyed that a lot. And I saw what that was as a business and as a sport and everything, and I love it as a sport, and I love training in MMA and stuff, but I had no desire to be a career fighter. So I didn't want to waste anyone's time, coaches, anything else like that, even just pretending like I was going to play this game. So I kind of let that go. And I go, well, where is my mind at? What was the reason I was doing the fight? Because that was a big fear thing for me, as I was always not the most self-confident person. So that's why I think a lot of people start training in martial arts. They want to be more confident in case scenarios were to ever arise. And then you put yourself in a forced conflict and taking a fight, which is whatever. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. But so even then, you go, and thankfully I won my fight, and I thought that I was going to have this new awakening after winning my fight. I kind of knew that would be a pivotal moment for me, but I expected that if I won, I was going to have this grand awakening of confidence where I was going to take on the world, and my life all of a sudden was going to fall into place, and I was going to just know all this future stuff about my life and how I should operate. And I won, and I didn't. Nothing changed. No one cared. I didn't even really care. The situation played out so much differently in real life than I had made it out in my head. With my opponent, what it would feel like inside the octagon, what it would feel like to win, all these different things. And this is like, 2 years ago now? So I kind of took some time, and you can see all this is documented through this channel. I took some time, and I just tried to think, like, what the fuck do I want to do? What do I want to do? Who am I? Who am I as a person? You guys probably hear me say that every episode at some point. And I started digging into spirituality and the truth of who I am. And I found every type of philosophy type material that I could get my hands on, whether it be Buddhist, whether it be Stoicism, whether it be, whatever. I like listening to people like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. I got really into like neurobiology and stuff like that, just learning about the brain and how it connects to the spiritual realm, quantum theory, stuff like that. And even the same as bodybuilding, and I forgot to mention guns because a lot of people don't really know me anymore from the gun side of the world, but back in 2016, 2017, I was all guns. I was all veteran stuff. I was just coming off of a deployment. Maybe it was more like 2018 that I actually started making content about it, but I was all guns, Glocks, ARs, America's Bravo was my name at the time, and I had merch and everything, and it was very successful. But even then, I went to the NRA convention with weapons manufacturer that I was working for at the time, and I had kind of started making my America's Bravo brand, and I actually got to meet up with some people, and it was my first time having any type of like influencer experience, and I saw what it was, and I saw that people kind of expected you to be this character when they met you, something that they expected me to be this person that I wasn't. And at the time, Black Rifle Coffee was a big thing. And I noticed everyone was just trying to be that. And that was the most popular thing. And I was like, well, I'm not that. I'm not that. I struggle with alcohol. So whiskey slinging's not for me. And bikini snaps and stuff like that is not me either. I've never been that guy. And for me, it kind of sucks because in the process of losing all these different things... Hold on, we're about to lose the camera. Alright guys, sorry about that. I forgot to change the battery before, it was one of those times where I almost didn't even record an episode, and I was like, you know what? And we'll get into this. We'll get into that. Anyway, camera's back. I saw what the market was becoming in the gun thing, a lot like fitness, a lot like MMA. I saw that there was this money-hungry pit at the bottom of it. And I was like, nah, I'm cool on all that. There's more to me than holding a gun and just, hey, this is me with a gun. Check out this coffee company. No, thank you. And so again, I went from that into the fitness game, into the fighting game, and still not trying to anymore find myself. I wasn't identifying with these things. I was just trying to learn as much as I could about them. I stopped identifying myself with anything when I got out of the military in 2018. I identified as a soldier. And when I came home from a deployment, I didn't want to do that anymore either. Because I saw what that was. And I had gotten to be a part of it at the, biggest level. And it's whatever. Just like MMA. Sure, people think it's cool. It's cool. But you still lay in bed at night and there's more to you. And then there's usually just things you have to repair about yourself. Whether it be from MMA training or, military life. So, let go of the fighting and realize mental health and spirituality is really where I care the most. And I get into all the different philosophies and neurobiologists, and I kind of even get bored of listening to Rogan because it's kind of the same thing, different topic, more or less. And I just want to learn as much as I can about life and how it works. And at every point, you look at the most successful people in each field, whether it be health and fitness, whether it be guns, whether it be spirituality, and lately I've been taking aim at like tarot card readers. Because there's always this divide between the people who think that there's more out there and they're searching for that, and they end up buying into the people on this other echelon of life that have no issue taking advantage of other people. I truly believe tarot card readers are complete scam artists and stuff like that. They sit there and go, okay, your guides are telling you, oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. They're putting on a little show for you so it seems more convincing, so they can say the most basic shit possible and make you relate to it, so that way you feel connected, so that way you keep coming back to their channels and watching their shit and buying their stuff and buying their readings. And I look and I'm like, that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Why would anyone fall for this nonsense? But then I look at what, I don't know what the percentages are, so I'm not going to make them up, but the majority of the world that operates in Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Muslim beliefs, Hinduism, all this stuff. And they spend their whole week living their life. Some of them go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays. Some of them go like 3 times a week and on Sundays. It differs based on your dedication to it. But ultimately you go to hear stuff that, let's be honest, after the age of like 13, if you've gone long enough, you know it. You know the stories. You get it. You go to participate in these ceremonies, rituals, whatever. Pay your tithe, your 10%, so you can feel like you've surrendered the parts of yourself that no longer serve you in the moment. And you surrender your life to this power, this energy, this deity, if you choose, that's bigger than you. And we've created these different deities because they make sense to us. Through the cultures we live in, through the cultures we've come up in, we've created these deities that look like us because there was a passage that said, made in the image of me. So they started slowly dwindling these different deities that look different ways. And ultimately, over the last 2 years with the pandemic and with my show and with everything that I do, I found that, sure, you can get followers on TikTok. It's pretty easy. You can gain a ton of followers on Instagram, and you can have a lot of fun engaging with that, and it's cool. You can try to help people as much as you can, right? You only have the abilities you do, and you can only make people care as much as you can. You can meditate every single day, and you can find out what's important to you as a person and what you feel your life's calling to be. And then you can come out of that meditation and you can do your yoga, and you can take that on as something that feels good and it fits your current physical needs and abilities, and it really truly makes me feel good. And I can record a show and I can just speak about what's on my mind, and whether it gets 10,000 views an episode or 10 views an episode, I can do that and be perfectly happy with it, right? The amount of people that watch is the same to me as the amount of people that know what my meditations are every day. It doesn't really matter anymore to me. Because through the last 2 years, what I've had to realize is, whether it comes to your personal relationships, your religious beliefs, your job, your relationships with your kids, the appearance you put out on social media, whatever, just all of it. It all comes down to, at every moment, we're all constantly living in this perfect moment of balance that we call the current moment, where we're projecting the life we want while trying to conceal not only the life that we've known in the past, but the current life that we are. It's a second by second, moment by moment basis of trying to cling on to what is now, hoping that you can get to what you want to get in the future, trying to ignore parts of the past while clinging on to the parts that serve you. That's all the time. And then, because we're humans and we're never truly satisfied here in this earth, we try to tame the beast that we call the sinful parts of ourselves, the shadow parts, the flesh part of us, whatever you want to call it, based on your spiritual beliefs. And we're constantly trying to tame that. The drinking and the drugs and the relationships and the don't do this before this time, and this is what your life should look like, and this is what success is, and if you just live life this way, you'll be fine. And you just try to live what you think is right. And I could just tell you, from someone who's 30 years old, almost. I'll be 30 next month. Maybe there is a true benefit of being able to walk through this life believing the things that people older than you who came up in the area you came up from have to say about life as they're observing you. Through my whole life, right, I was constantly told, sit down, pay attention, quit daydreaming, because I'm doodling, trying to think of things to put on t-shirts and, try to create bands, and I was always in bands, and I was always trying to make a band, and I was always doing the comedy routines that I would see on TV. I would do them in front of my friends and my family to make them laugh and stuff like that, and that was great, when we were at home and stuff, but I fucking sucked at school. I just never cared. I would rather talk to my friends and engage with them, and that's always what meant the most to me. So I was I was kind of pushed to places in life where I guess you call it your inner child, that part of you that thinks that stuff is good, the laughing and the joking and the daydreaming and the, I guess, ignorant belief that there's something beneficial in holding on to that stuff. I think for some of us, it takes longer for that part of you to die. And I think once you start having kids and you watch them grow and you see how fast they grow and you realize how valuable time is, when you love people, you don't want to waste their time. And I sit around a lot of the times telling stories or making note of the fact that my upbringing wasn't ideal to a healthy come up at all times, right? And then I take my daughter to school, all while having another daughter in another state who I can hardly see most of the time for different varying reasons. And my wife goes to work, and I turn on a camera, and I talk about love, and I talk about connecting to a higher power, and I turn it off, and I edit the video, and I believe, and have nothing but good intentions with every episode I put out. And I put it out, and, sometimes a good amount of people watch it, sometimes none watch it, and then I go, and I get my family, and I spend time with them, and I go, I'm not doing anything for you, right? I'm not doing anything for you. I'm your dad, and I'm here. And everyone resented my father because he wasn't physically there, but he was out trying to make a better life, and he was trying to make more money so he could afford more time with us, and he understood the same thing I understood, which is that time runs out, and you have to work very hard to try to make the most of any time you can, right? So I had a realization in my first marriage that I would never be able to be around my first daughter all the time, every day, because of the inability of her mother and I to communicate on a healthy level. And I had to understand how difficult not only my life would be, but her life would be as well. But I forget every day that in making that long-term commitment for both of us, it included daily suffering. And it included realizing that life will never be ideal, right? I made that decision in one moment. And we all live with it every day. So to say that we constantly live in the now is kind of bland, and it's kind of a cop-out, in my opinion. When you look at these people who want to talk about how peaceful it is to be mindful, okay, but sometimes you get to the mindful part of yourself where you can only accept the experience you've had thus far. And some of us have done a lot of damage. And in that, I created my show, Road to Redemption, trying to make things right by changing who I am. And hoping that by starting with the man in the mirror, maybe I'd be able to make a bigger change in life. And I would be able to be an example for fathers out there that were maybe in bad relationships, or, now I could maybe be a voice for fathers that are currently with their kids every day. And I can still speak for both because I've had such a crazy life. I had always hoped that it wasn't all for nothing, and that it would be able to be a lesson to so many people, hopefully. And that if nothing else, people didn't have to feel alone in any situation in life. I don't always talk about, losing kids. Like, I've lost kids. I've physically watched kids be born and had to make the decision on what happens to their bodies afterwards. Those are moments that I've had to go through in life, So it's one of those things where it's cool to go to church and surrender to God that whatever love is prevails on this earth. That's good. And I think we should all do that. Whatever your church is, whatever your temple is, that's completely up to you. And I think we get so caught up in our own ego, which is what I talked about in the last episode. We get caught up in our ego about, well, I need to save this person from their suffering, and they should do it my way, and this, that, and the other. That's where you get people feel called to ministry, and they need to convert other people and shit like that. That's good if you feel so inclined to do so, but remember, when you're dealing in this world, you're truly dealing in two different aspects. Some call it good and evil. I look at it this way. You have true love acting at all times, and then you have free will acting at all times. So, sure, call that good and evil, call that whatever you want. In every moment of every day, you have a decision to make. Are you going to act in love and in the betterment of not just yourself, but everyone around you and the potential for everyone's future around you, which is important? Or are you going to act in ways that serve you so you can continue to do things the way you're doing it? Because that works for you. That's free will, right? Now, in free will, you can still choose to make the good decision or the right decision, but understand that that's different for every person because every situation is so unique. Sitting around and judging other people for what they choose to do, how they choose to do it, how their life looks externally. Sit back for just a moment and think about your own life. Just your life and all the crazy shit that's happened in it. That if you tried to write it down, I'm trying to write a book right now. If you tried to write, just take one fucking moment you can remember and try to write that down. It's hard because each moment is filled with so much detail, so much information. What did things look like? What happened before this moment that led up to that moment? It leads to a lot of run-on sentences if you try to give all the details. That's why it's so overwhelming to just sit and meditate for a minute, because you have to sit in the complexity of each moment. Most people can't do that about a single moment, let alone going through minutes, let alone days or years of their life. You have to be able to sit and go, okay, this happened here. That is why this caused this reaction, which is, okay, that led to this. And then you realize, okay, almost at every moment, either we were acting in love or someone was acting out of selfish free will, and they got disconnected from love somewhere. And that's the only real time we find disturbances in life. And then life itself happens, right? Life itself throws curveballs. Some are tragic and some are beautiful. All the same, they come in, and I truly believe some lives are very milquetoast, are very just kind of not much happens. Hey, that's you doing you. You've kind of always been that. Guys, I'm almost 30. I know people that it's like, oh yeah, what's he doing? Same shit he's been doing. He's not doing nothing different, nothing crazy happened. Nope. No surgeries, nobody died in his family. He's doing the same shit he was doing in high school. That person exists, and that person will exist for you and your kids' friends. Like, that person always exists. And then you have the people in life where terrible shit happens to them all the time. It seems like they just can't catch a break. And those people, that's life. People look at it and they go, oh my God, I can't believe that person caught such a bad strain in life, and we just don't know why that happens. And then there's the people in life where it seems like everything works out for them. They catch all the breaks, or they caught the one big break that led to everything working out for them seemingly. And it's like, okay, well, what decides that spectrum for us? Is it our choices in each moment, mixed with our genes and who our parents were, and even though we didn't have a choice in that, but can your soul align to the stars in the sky mixed with the way that the planets align, and can that change who the fuck you are in your destiny? I love that scene from A Knight's Tale where he says a man can change the stars. It's like, but can he? Can he? Can you meditate your way to a new life? Can you go to church every Sunday and pay your 10% and do your shit and say your whatevers? And can you really change your life or the things that happen when your lights go out? I don't know. And it may be that I never make $1 million because I'm not willing to sit here and tell you guys that I can promise you eternal bliss in life. Because I have to keep it real with you as the gangster of love, I guess, and just say, guys, this life is fucking hard. A lot. If you choose to live it. There's a reason that people say, like, love is pain and, life's a bitch and then you die. Like, all these things, if you choose to engage in this crazy ass thing that we call life, a lot of it is hurtful and it doesn't make sense. And for anyone to sit around and act like they know shit should only show you that they're full of shit. That's it. That's it. Because here's the thing. If we knew where Bigfoot was, we would all know by now. If we knew what aliens look like, we'd all fucking know. If we knew what ghosts were and do they exist, we'd all know that by now. If we all knew where the secret fountain of youth was, we'd all go there. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows why the world created from a boom of explosion. We don't know. We don't know. And sometimes you have to sit and go, okay, even though you don't know, that can seem quite tragic, but at the same moment, look at the endless possibilities that you have. Without all the attachments to feeling like you have to know what happens after this world, and you have to know what happens or what's creating it all, or you have to be able to be harnessed into this power to create the perfect manifestation of the exact life you think is perfect for you, even though you fuck that up at every turn, most of us. You can still sit and go, okay, I'm a person. I've had good shit and I've had bad shit happen to me. I at least appreciate this life enough that I'm willing to say I love it, that I want to see what it still has in store for me. For any amount of days that I'm choosing to be given by the creator, the universe, evolution, whatever. The energy that came from the tarot card reader's fan or whatever the fuck. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And I'm dedicated to calling it as I see it. And if there's value in that, I hope you guys are willing to share it and tell your friends about it, that there's someone who's at least will give you a crazy 20 to 30 minutes of content to listen to and think about and stuff like that. And I hope you guys know that if you're ever going through something and you think, oh my God, this is the hardest thing, this is absolutely going to be the thing that ruins my life, it probably won't. It probably won't. You're not probably going to die from that. It's just you need probably to have someone tell you that they care about you and that you mean a lot to them during any time of crisis. You know what that does for people? Whether it be losing kids or going through a divorce or anything, really, losing a grandparent or whatever, having someone just tell you, man, I love you, and you mean a lot to me. That's why I think funerals and weddings and stuff like that are so special, because you see people you haven't for a long time and they remind you, like, damn, dude, I really do love you. And you're like, God, that feels good. That feels good. We get so far away from that. When we get caught up in our hustle and bustle of trying to reach goals that ultimately probably don't matter, so we can write books that'll turn into, mulch in a couple years, and we can post videos that'll be lost to the metaverse in 20, and nobody will give a fuck about who any of us are in 150 years. But we cling so tight to it because we hope that our life is going to mean something, when we know it won't. So that's the somber spiritual gangster episode, I guess. Sorry for all the emotion. That seems to be, the vibe is you can't be real. Can't talk about real stuff because it's painful. And if it's painful, you just gotta push it down and just fuck it. Surrender it to God. Surrender it to whatever. But I believe if you talk about it, you might be able to help some people. So I hope that happened. Love you guys.